Your teen senses awkward conversations the way a caffeinated silverback gorilla senses a challenge. Full body tension, nostrils flaring, ready to charge. You think you're just asking about their day. They think you're launching an FBI interrogation disguised as parental concern. And somewhere between "how was school" and their one-word answer, a door slams shut in their brain that you didn't even hear close. This isn't about rebellion or hormones or TikTok rotting their frontal lobe. This is about the exact moment they looked at you, calculated the risk of being honest, and decided the emotional math didn't add up. Here's what actually caused that moment, why it matters more than you think, and how to crack the door back open before it locks permanently. Number 1. The achievement interrogation. You pick them up from school and immediately launch into the greatest hits. How was the test? Did you finish that project? What did you get on the quiz? You think you're showing interest. You think caring about their academic life means asking about it constantly. They hear something completely different. To them, you just reduced their entire existence to a performance review. Every car ride becomes a quarterly earnings call where their value is measured in percentages and letter grades. Northwestern research on adolescent stress found that teens whose parents consistently lead with achievement questions report feeling like their worth is conditional. Your kid isn't dumb. They know that when you ask about grades first, you're telling them what you prioritize. And when they bomb a test or forget an assignment, they start editing what they tell you, because disappointing you feels worse than lying to you. The fix isn't to stop caring about school. It's to lead with literally anything else. Ask about lunch. Ask about the weird kid in third period. Ask if anything made them laugh today. Then maybe, after you've established they're a human and not a GPA with legs, ask about the academic stuff. Save the performance metrics for after you've connected as people. Number 2, the privacy invasion. You go through their phone, their room, their backpack, their browser history. You justify it with safety concerns and parental rights. You tell yourself that if they have nothing to hide, they shouldn't care. Meanwhile, your teen is learning that privacy is something you earn through perfect behavior, rather than something humans deserve. Yale studies on adolescent autonomy development show that teens whose privacy is routinely violated without cause develop higher rates of secretive behavior and lower rates of voluntary disclosure. Translation: when you snoop, they get better at hiding. You're not preventing bad choices. You're training them to make bad choices more quietly. They start using incognito mode. They get a second phone. They tell you the sanitized version of their life, while the real version happens in encrypted apps you don't know exist. The message you're sending is that you don't trust them to navigate their own decisions. So why would they trust you with the truth? Instead, try transparency about your concerns. Say, I worry about online safety. Can we agree that I won't randomly check your phone, but you'll come to me if something scary happens? Give them privacy as the default, not as a prize. Trust builds trust. Surveillance builds liars. Number 3, the emotional editing. Your teen comes home upset. You immediately try to fix it. Just ignore them. You're overreacting. It's not that big a deal. When I was your age, we had real problems. You think you're providing perspective. You think minimizing their feelings will help them develop resilience. What they actually hear is that their emotions are inconvenient background noise you need them to turn down. Stanford research on emotional validation shows that teenagers whose feelings are consistently dismissed learn to suppress emotional expression, leading to increased anxiety and difficulty with emotional regulation in adulthood. Your kid isn't asking you to solve their problems. They're asking you to witness their feelings without judgment. When you rush to fix or minimize, you're telling them their internal experience is wrong, so they stop sharing it. They learn that sadness is weakness, that anger is unacceptable, that fear is irrational. They become adults who can't name their feelings because you taught them feelings were meant to be managed away, not felt. Quick favor from Sticko before we move on. If this is hitting home, could you take 1 second to tap that subscribe button? Believe it or not, over 97% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. Try this instead. That sounds really hard. Tell me more. Sit with their discomfort instead of rushing to eliminate it. Validation doesn't mean agreement. It means acknowledging that their experience is real, even if you'd handle it differently. Number 4, The comparison trap. You mention their cousin who got straight A's. You bring up the neighbor kid who made varsity. You casually drop how your friend's daughter already committed to college. You think you're motivating them. You think showing them examples of success will inspire similar effort. They hear that they're not enough as they are. Columbia research on adolescent self-esteem found that teens who are frequently compared to peers develop lower self-worth and higher rates of depression, even when the comparisons are meant to be encouraging. Every comparison you make is a tiny message that says, you should be someone other than who you are. Your kid isn't your cousin. They're not the neighbor kid. They're a whole person with different strengths, different challenges, different wiring. When you hold them up against someone else's highlight reel, you're teaching them that love is conditional on performance relative to others. They learn that your approval is something they're constantly competing for. So they either burn out trying to be someone they're not, or they give up entirely because the gap feels insurmountable. Instead, compare them only to their own previous self. You handled that better than you would have last month. You're getting stronger at advocating for yourself. Make their benchmark their own growth, not someone else's achievements. Number 5. The oversharing violation. You tell your book club about their first heartbreak. You post about their struggles on Facebook. You discuss their therapy sessions with your sister. You think you're processing your own feelings or seeking advice. They think you just broadcasted their private life to an audience they didn't consent to. MIT studies on trust formation show that adolescents whose personal information is shared without permission develop difficulties with vulnerability and are less likely to disclose sensitive information to parents in the future. Your teen's life isn't your content. Their pain isn't your anecdote. Their therapy isn't your status update. Every time you share their story without asking, you're telling them their boundaries don't matter and their privacy is negotiable. They start giving you less information because they know it won't stay between you. They learn that intimacy is dangerous because people who claim to love you will use your secrets as dinner party entertainment. The fix is simple, but requires discipline. Ask first. Is it okay if I talk to Grandma about what you're going through? Can I get advice from my friend about this situation? Give them control over their own narrative. When they say no, respect it without pouting. Their trust is worth more than your need to vent. Number 6. The conditional approval. You say you love them no matter what, but your face tells a different story when they get a C. You claim to support their choices, but you go silent when they pick art over engineering. You insist you accept them, but you keep suggesting maybe they'd be happier if they were different. Harvard research on parental acceptance found that teens who perceive conditional regard from parents show higher levels of resentment and lower levels of authentic self-expression. Your kid can smell conditional love from 3 rooms away. They know the difference between "I love you" and "I love the version of you that makes choices I approve of." When your approval fluctuates based on their performance or decisions, they learn to perform a version of themselves that keeps you happy while hiding who they actually are. They pick the college you want while resenting you for it. They dress how you prefer while feeling like an imposter. They achieve the things that make you proud while losing track of what makes them feel alive. The long game here is brutal. They either spend their life trying to earn your approval and never feeling good enough, or they cut you off entirely because the cost of your love is too high. Instead, separate your feelings about their choices from your love for them as a person. I'm worried about the practical aspects of an art degree, and I love you completely. Let's figure this out together. You can have concerns without withdrawing warmth. Number 7. The advice ambush. Your teen mentions a problem in passing. You immediately launch into solution mode. Lecture deployed. Life lessons activated. Anecdotes about your own youth locked and loaded. You think you're being helpful. You think your experience is valuable and they should benefit from your wisdom. What they hear is that you can't just listen without turning their life into a teaching moment. Psychology Today research shows that unsolicited advice often creates defensiveness rather than receptiveness, particularly in adolescents who are developing autonomy. Your kid doesn't always want your solutions. Sometimes they just want to say something out loud and have another human acknowledge it without trying to fix them. When you jump straight to advice, you're implying that their ability to figure things out is insufficient. You're suggesting they can't be trusted to navigate their own problems. So they stop mentioning problems entirely. They go to friends, who might give terrible advice, but at least won't make them feel incompetent. They Google solutions instead of asking you because the internet doesn't make them feel like a project that needs correcting. Try this. When they share something, ask, "Do you want advice or do you just need to vent?" Radical concept, right? Let them tell you what they need instead of assuming. If they want your input, they'll ask. If they don't, your job is to listen and validate. That's it. You don't get bonus points for solving problems they didn't ask you to solve. Number 8. The emotional hostage situation. You get visibly upset when they choose friends over family dinner. You guilt trip them about spending time in their room. You make comments about how they used to want to be around you. You think you're expressing hurt feelings. They think you just made their normal developmental need for independence into something they have to manage your emotions about. Cambridge research on adolescent individuation found that teens whose parents respond to age-appropriate separation with emotional distress develop anxiety around autonomy and difficulty establishing healthy boundaries in adult relationships. Your feelings about their growing up are valid. Your feelings are also not their responsibility to fix. When you make them responsible for managing your emotional response to their independence, you're teaching them that other people's feelings matter more than their own developmental needs. They learn to stay small to keep you comfortable. They learn that growing up hurts the people they love, so maybe they shouldn't grow. Or they grow anyway and carry guilt about it for decades. The healthier move is to feel your feelings privately or with other adults. Process your grief about them growing up with your partner, your therapist, your friends. Let your kids see that you're sad they're not little anymore, and that you're handling it without making it their problem. I miss our movie nights, and I get that you have your own life now. I'm adjusting. That's it. Feel it, name it, don't weaponize it. These moments when your teen decided you wouldn't understand didn't happen because they're dramatic or because adolescence is inherently alienating. They happened because of 1,000 tiny calculations where they weighed honesty against consequence and chose silence. Every interrogation disguised as interest, every privacy violation disguised as protection, every comparison disguised as motivation taught them that the real version of themselves wasn't quite what you wanted. And here's the part that hurts. Most of this comes from love. You ask about grades because you want them to succeed. You check their phone because you want them safe. You compare them to others because you want them to reach their potential. But impact matters more than intent. The good news is that the door isn't welded shut. It's just closed. You can still knock. You can still prove through consistent behavior that you're safe to be honest with, that their feelings matter more than your comfort, that they don't have to edit themselves to earn your love. Start small. Ask about lunch instead of grades. Sit with their sadness instead of fixing it. Respect their privacy. Keep their secrets. Love the kid in front of you instead of the imaginary one you think they should be. The adult who calls you regularly, who actually wants you in their life, who trusts you with the real stuff. That person was a teen who decided you were safe. Be safe now. It's not too late.